Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Happy 12 o'clock, I should say. Happy lunchtime. So today is Thursday, April 22nd. Let me check the date. Yep, noon, and we're going to continue our topic of the Daily Dozen, the Dr. Greger Daily Dozens. Today we're talking about cruciferous vegetables. So cruciferous vegetables are really wonderful. I can go on and on. But so they include arugula, bok choy, broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, mustard greens, turnip greens, collard greens. Serving size is a half a cup cooked or a quarter cup of Brussels or broccoli sprouts. And the daily recommendation is one serving per day, but you can definitely have more. So when it comes to vegetables, so where berries are the king of fruits, and I'm all about berries. When it comes to vegetables, it's all about cruciferous vegetables. They are just so powerful, and the berries and cruciferous vegetables are the two that I'm like, those are two I'm neurotic about making sure I get into my diet every day, which is very easy because I love broccoli and kale, and I love berries. But those are two. So if you were to add one thing to your diet, I want you to consider cruciferous vegetables. And this is really due to the power of sulforaphane. So sulforaphane is it's a sulfur-rich compound that is found in cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, bok choy, etc. that we're talking about today. But it's found almost exclusively in cruciferous vegetables. And the power of this compound is just unbelievable. It's been well researched. There's so much research out there on it right now. It's ridiculous. So less than a serving a day may cut the risk of cancer progression from more than half. And so this really has all to do with how sulforaphane has the effects potentially preventing DNA damage. So as I talked about yesterday or the day before, all day long, our cells are being bombarded with pollutants, and they're causing little damage to our DNA. So, but we need all the antioxidants, all these good compounds to come around and clean them up. And because if they don't get cleaned up and repaired, they eventually become mutations, and those are the things that turn into cancer. So, what it is, sulforaphane is one of those great things that helps stop those changes. So, among cancer things, so one things they found to really target breast cancer cells. So actually, there was a study of about 50,000 African American women who found that those who ate two or more servings had a significantly decreased risk of double negative breast cancer. So if you're familiar with breast cancer, we market them, or we grade them as, or classify them is the correct word, on whether they're responsive to estrogen, progesterone, or neither, or HER2, which is another marker. So when they're negative of estrogen and progesterone, those are very difficult to treat. So most of our therapeutics that we have right now for breast cancer target those. So this actually showed that if you had two or more servings of a cruciferous vegetable, primarily broccoli, there's a decreased risk of this type of breast cancer. It also broccoli appeared to be more protective in premenopausal women, whereas collard greens was really kind of protective across all ages. It also found that other studies have found that in women who have had breast cancer and has been treated, so there still could be cells, kind of lingering around. You hear about the people that had breast cancer and 20 years later their breast cancer comes back. But there's so many studies also that show that in women who have had breast cancer and it's been treated, that it decreases the likelihood of it returning. Other types of cancer, it's been shown to help prevent lymphoma. It's been helped to reduce the risk of prostate cancer progression. So then something else that it does, other than its cancer voodoo crazy, so it helps activate our defenses against pathogens and pollutants. So 95% of our immune system is found in our GI tract, right? So I've said this before, I'll say it again. So our GI tract is really it's we get introduced, our bodies, our inside of our bodies get introduced to the outside world through our GI tract, through what we eat, through what we breathe. So, and the lining of our GI tract is really just one cell thick. It's very thin, and it needs to be thin so the nutrients can cross it, otherwise they wouldn't be able to. But so it's really important that we keep our GI tract happy. We've talked about this with prebiotics. But in our GI tract, there are receptors in the lining of our guts that needs to be activated. And research has really shown that the key to activate them is found in cruciferous vegetables. So it protects against these receptors protects against pathogens in our food, but also environmental pollutants, cigarette smoke, car exhaust, cooked meat, dairy, etc. So other wonderful things that sulforaphane and cruciferous vegetables is thought to do may also protect your brain and eyesight. Very important. Reduce nasal allergy inflammation. Now this makes sense if you think about inflammation in the gut and protecting the gut. Manage type 2 diabetes. There's actually one study between Johns Hopkins and Harvard found that it may help treat autism. So a double-blind placebo-controlled trial, which is really our gold standard in medicine, found that 2 to 3 servings worth of sulforaphane in the cruciferous vegetables actually improved social interaction, abnormal behavior, and verbal communication within a matter of weeks. And it's thought that maybe it's due to this detoxicant role of sulforaphane. And the way it helps detox is through your liver, right? So the liver really does the major load of detoxing things in our body. So we need to be nice to our liver. It does a lot of work for us. So it has been shown that sulforaphane actually will boost liver detox enzymes. So these enzymes are the ones that break down and clear potential toxic agents from our body. So it essentially revs up your liver, so it kind of goes into detoxifying overload. So research showed that if you feed people broccoli, they clear caffeine more quickly. Sorry. But so that would be, so it boosts up your liver so it can help detox things. Now when it comes to actually consuming them, raw is best because it actually requires a chemical reaction to create the sulforaphane. So within the broccoli there's a precursor, and when you cut it, it causes this chemical reaction that converts it to sulforaphane. So if you're going to cook it, so raw is best. If you're going to cook it, it's best if you can chop it and wait. So cut it on the cutting board and wait about 40 minutes. Then you can cook it as much as you want. If you just cook it right away, it doesn't have the time to do the enzymatic reaction. But if you can't wait, nature is amazing, right? You can. There's an enzyme in mustard powder that will convert it to sulforaphane. So it will provide the enzyme. So if you just, I sometimes, in the broccoli water, I put in some mustard powder into the water, or I sprinkle it on it after I've cooked it. So it's the same thing with frozen broccoli because that's flash cooked. So when you're cooking your frozen broccoli, you should put some mustard powder on it to really rev up the sulforaphane. And just, it's really easy to add it throughout the day. So I tend to have red cabbage. Red cabbage has more nutrients than green cabbage, the more color. And so I will just slice off some red cabbage, put it in my salad, so I can cruciferize my meals, as Dr. Greger likes to say. So and it's relatively cheap when it comes to live vegetables, and people. It's one of the biggest complaints I hear is that vegetables are expensive, but that's a whole nother talk. But red cabbage is relatively expensive, and it lasts a long time. So you just slice off some slivers and put it in your salads, and you're good. So I would love to hear your thoughts on cruciferous vegetables. If they're ones you like, ones you don't like, what's your favorite, any recipes you have. We're all about recipes here. So if you can share some recipes, drop things in the comments. Other than that, I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow for leafy greens. Greens is tomorrow. Okay, take care.